Hi, this is Magda Kay, and welcome to the next episode of Psychology for Marketers. In today's episode, I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite books, Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz. See, if you have time to read just one book, I hope that's the book that you will pick up. Why? Because it's a book packed with tips and useful information, both for your business and your private life. So just for you, I prepared a summary of the main points from this book. So right away you can get the essence by watching this short video, but I do encourage you to get the book and read all of it. Now if you're ready to do it, under this video you will find a link that will take you straight to the Amazon where you can buy it. But for now, let me share with you the essence from the book, the points that I personally find the most important, and some extra additions from myself for you. So what is choice? Choice is freedom, especially in our society with the values that we have. Freedom is one of the main values. This is why we fight so much to have choice. See, choice indeed has a lot of benefits from us. Well, first of all, instrumental benefits because it allows us to get what we want. But it also allows us to express who we are. And finally, it has psychological impact because it allows us to be engaged in the world. And that's a very important aspect because our mental health depends on the possibility of choosing. And this is because choice equals control. We all enjoy having control. And it's been proven by many studies that having control over time in our life is the key to our well-being and our growth. What happens when you don't have the choice? Depressed people very often have difficulty making even simple decisions, and very often this is because sometimes in the past the choice was taken away from them and they learn helplessness. So indeed, the choice is very important and we do need the choice. But what are the limits? Well, choice is of course shopping. I mean, we all love going to shopping malls and search for a lot of stuff that we all would love to have. And indeed, we are shopping more and more. The interesting fact is that we enjoy it less. And this is why. How many times do you go just to buy one thing and then you're faced with so many combinations, so many options, like cereals. You just want a box of good breakfast cereals and instead you see hundreds of brands and hundreds of different boxes and different tastes. Now, which one are you supposed to choose? Now, in this situation, shopping is not enjoyable anymore. It becomes a task. It's too difficult, it's overwhelming, and it's tiring. Saying that having choice is good is way too simple. As you will see in this video and in the book, it's much more complicated. Now, I have chosen for you 7 main aspects that influence how we choose, how we make decisions, but also how we feel about our choices. Now again, in the book you will find more information about it. You will find also more aspects. I just chose for you the essence, meaning that if you don't have few weeks to read the book but only 10 to 20 minutes, well then this video is for you. So I will be talking about value perception or pricing, then about the risk, losing, satisfaction, happiness, regret, and control. So the first one, price. And the one thing I really want you to remember is that we never look at the price in terms of absolute value. We always compare the price to something else. Now, a lot of businesses already know it and they use it in a very tricky way. So let me share with you this one tip. Imagine you run a hotel and in your offer you have the standard room with a small balcony. Now, what can you do to increase sales of this room? Well, you create another offer, a better offer, a deluxe offer. In this case, it's a room with large balcony and a small kitchen. Now, the price is much higher, and in most cases, people will not be able to afford it. But that's okay. You do not have a deluxe offer because you want to sell it. The main reason for having it is so that people can compare the main offer that you have of your standard room to this one. Because when they make this comparison, suddenly the standard offer will seem so amazing and such a good value for money. Now let me give you another example of how framing and comparing different aspects of pricing can change your attitude towards it. So imagine you're in a shop paying for a sandwich and you can either pay with a credit card or cash. Now you see the sign saying When paying with cash, you get 5% off. Now, would you want to pay cash? Would you want to buy the sandwich? Of course. But now imagine you're seeing this card. When paying with credit card, extra 5% is charged. It gives you the negative feeling. It makes you feel as getting your sandwich actually makes you lose something. So not only does it make you not want to pay with a credit card, it might actually make you not want to buy at all because you feel like you're losing and not gaining. As you can see, framing is powerful, and the same goes for risk. So I have a question for you. Would you rather take $50 or would you play and risk to win $100? If you're like most of the people, you would choose, even if smaller, but a sure gain of $50. Even it's only half of the other option, but in the other option you're risking, so you're not sure whether you can get it. So in this game, the way that it's framed, you will go for something that eliminates the risk. But, on the contrary, we will risk a large loss to avoid a smaller one. Let me show you another example. Would you rather save for sure 200 people out of 600 or take risk 30% chances to save all of 600? In this case, most people will go for saving 200 people because they know they will for sure save them. But again, just like with pricing, have a look how framing and how context can have an impact on how we make decisions. Would you rather lose for sure 400 people or have a 30% chance not to lose anybody? See, when it's framed in terms of loss and not a gain, you are more likely to take the risk. The two situations are identical, it's just about the context. So remember both prices and risk. People always compare prices, will always compare to something else, so instead of taking competition, you might just as well create the other product for them to compare to. And the same with risk. We do not like taking the risks. So again, think how you can frame your message so that you put it as a gain. So how can you put all your headlines and your copy in the form of a gain and rather than risk? Now, in the second option, you notice that it was framed as a loss, and this is why not many people will go for it. And that's a third aspect that I wanted to share with you. It is about losing. The key here is that losing something produces negative feelings and much stronger negative feelings than gaining the same thing. In other words, we just hate losing. Now, that's very powerful for every marketer. And why? Well, the answer is endowment effect. So the second somebody gives us something, it becomes part of what we have, of our endowment. Now, giving it away means losing. So imagine somebody gives you a sample of a product, but after a while you're supposed to give it back. Now, this moment, trust me, you will not want to do it because you actually created in your mind a reality when this product, this sample, it's already yours. You own it. So even you're supposed to give it back, even though it was never really yours, because of this endowment effect, it will feel like it and you will not want to give it back. Now, this is why money back guarantee works so well. And again, this is another tip for you from me, what you can do to increase your revenues. What's happening here is that you are giving a lot of extra security and safety for people to get your product, because if they don't like it, they can always give it back. But you already know that even though you are allowing them to return the product, most of them will never do it because in the period that you're giving them the possibility to use it, they will already create a feeling that the product is theirs. So even though they can give it back and they can get the money back, in the majority of cases, people will not return it. Now you understand why so many products, especially on the internet, have always money back guarantee, and this is why you should use it as well. Now the fourth aspect is satisfaction. Now this is really the core of the book. Now I love this part because it really opened my eyes to something that I wasn't really aware of. And this is the concept of maximizers versus satisficers. A maximizer is a person who goes only for the best. Whatever it is, they want the best option for themselves. What it means is that they need to check all of the options available. Clearly, that takes a lot of time. Satisficer is somebody who does not need to spend so much time on research. It doesn't mean that they go for something that will not make them happy. The key to satisficers is that they have standards. So they know what makes them happy, they know what satisfies them, they know what they want, but they don't always have to go for the best. It's enough if they find something that meets the standards. So the key here is to create the standards, is to know what's really the level of things that you want to accept and that you want, and simply search up to that moment, up to that level, and no more. Naturally, maximizers are less satisfied with their choices. This is because you never feel like you've researched enough options. You will always have the feeling like maybe there's something better out there for you. Talking about satisfaction, let's talk about the fact whether you can return the product or not, and that kind of goes back to the concept of money back guarantee. Yes, we can return, but what happens is that after we return the product, or if we have the possibility of returning it, the choice that we have made will not make us as happy. If I make a decision and I cannot do anything about it afterwards, I have to live with my decision, then I have no choice but to accept it. You probably remember when, let's say, you would buy a car. It's such a big commitment. So very quickly you just fall in love with the car that you have. This is because if you were to question your choice every single time, it would be so disturbing, so frustrating, and it would make you so unhappy. So in order to stay with our positive identity and self-esteem, we will really convince ourselves that the choice we made is the best choice ever. Now you understand that having the possibility to reverse the decision makes the whole process of falling in love with what you made or did totally disappear. Giving the possibility to return, it does make the choice easier, but remember that at the same time, it makes people less satisfied. What does it depend on whether we are satisfied with the choice, whether the choice we make and what we have makes us happy? Now, that depends on what we have and another thing that we compare it to. So you see, again, it's all about comparison, and it's so true for human nature. We always compare. So in this case, there are four aspects, there are four areas in which I will compare of what I have, of what I have chosen for myself, to other things, and my happiness will be based on this. So the first one, every person compares to what they have to what we want. What I have to what I had in the past. What I have to what others like me have. And finally, what I have and what I expect. I'm sure if you go through these comparisons for yourself, for any decision that you ever made, you will find differences. And this is the reason why so many people are simply not happy. The problem is that when we make this kind of comparisons, we tend to do it upwards and not downwards. What it means, I look at what I have now, and let's say I have a nice car. I compare it to others like me have, and let's say some of people are similar to me, they have two cars. So I will compare myself to those, ignoring the fact that there are other people also similar to me who might not even have a car. So I compare myself upwards to those who have more, who are better, who do better, instead of doing it downwards. The key to being happy is actually the ability to comparing ourselves downwards. Doing it upwards is not bad. It's actually good because it allows us to be motivated. It gives us a vision of something better. So it gives us a goal to achieve. And it's okay. But at the same time, we need to find the balance. When should we do it? And when we should accept it? And when we should understand that what we already have is actually a lot. Now, maximizers more often tend to compare themselves upwards because they're looking for the best, which means they're more affected by it. Happy people have this great tendency to simply distract themselves whenever this possibility of upward comparison arises. So we've already talked about happiness. Now let's move to the fifth point and actually talk about it in details based on the book. So first of all, I'm sure you've heard that money doesn't give happiness. But really? Well, yes, really. What is the key essence, the source of happiness? It's deep relationships. And it's been proven by a lot of researchers, a lot of studies. It's the connection with another person. Now, the interesting fact, which is being pointed in this book, is that relationships limit our freedom. So, what we want might not necessarily be what makes us happy. Think about the choice, right? Choice means freedom. We want the choice. So maybe, even though we want it, that's not what will make us happy. Maybe having less choice will be the key to more happiness. Let me explain it. More choices means more trade-offs, or in other words, opportunity costs. Imagine you're in a shop and you have only $100 and you're buying, let's say, a phone. Buying phone with the brand A means not getting brand B. That's your opportunity cost. That's your trade-off. Even though you're gaining something, you're gaining the phone A, at the same time, you're losing phone B. Nobody likes losing, remember? So whenever a choice creates a trade-off, this is a moment when people get very, very confused and it becomes so difficult for them to make a choice at all. So if there are some serious trade-offs involved, a person might postpone a decision or in some cases not make a decision at all. This is why it's crucial for you to remember when you sell your products. Now, imagine you're the one selling the phones, right? And you might have a collection of 20 different colors. And you're thinking, yeah, that's a great offer because, people will be able to choose the color that really feels like them and I can increase my overall sales. The logic says it. So you would offer all the 20 colors. But the reality is different. Is that some people might like blue and black just as much and they might get so confused and might feel so uncomfortable about the fact that, oh, if I choose a black phone means that I don't have a blue phone and I also would love to have a blue phone. And what might happen is that they will not buy a phone at all. So when you can give a single choice of one, go for it because it will always win versus a difficult trade-off. Now let's move to the sixth aspect, and this is regret. Very often, after we make a decision, we regret it. And because of this past experience, we simply anticipate regret. This is why sometimes it's so difficult for us to make any decision, especially when it comes to shopping. And if the price is high, because we feel that, yeah, right now it feels okay, but maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I will find out later that the product is not good and that I will not like it, and I will regret my decision. What influences regret? First of all, cases of near misses. So imagine you're just walking around and you see this shop with a great dress. So you go inside and you see the dress and you see it's on sale 50% off, but you don't have your wallet on you. So you come back the next day with your wallet, you want to buy it, and you find out from the salesperson that, oh, the promotion just ended this morning. You were so close and yet you missed it. These are the cases where people lose any motivation to shop. Why? Because they feel stupid. They feel like there was a great offer and they didn't make it because of their own thought. In cases like this, when you give a special offer, you might consider giving a second special offer, which is not as good as the initial one, but will still make people feel like, yes, I was smart enough, I got it, I was fast. Make them feel proud and happy. Now, the second thing is responsibility. So, are people responsible for their choices? Let's say if I buy a car and I don't like the car, can I blame anybody else for my choice or can I blame only myself? The strength of the feeling of responsibility and whether it's me or somebody else will have a huge impact on whether I feel regret and how strong this feeling will be. What also impacts on our feeling of regret is so-called counterfactual thinking. We look at the world as it might be, not as it is. It's this comparison upward. We think of what we would like to have, what would be great to be like. And usually the imagination of the world that we have is much better than the one we have. And in many cases also something that we simply cannot have at all. What it does is that even though it allows for the improvements, as we said, but it creates a feeling of regret. Now, why is it all so important? It's because the regret will also stop people from choosing. Why? See, if I am faced with a choice and I expect to regret my decision in the future, I would rather not make this choice. So again, for you as a marketer, you need to make sure that whatever you do, the way you present your offer, the way you sell it, you need to eliminate any possible regrets. This is why money back guarantee works. This is why you want to have customer support. This is why you want to be open to answer any questions. This is why you want to have testimonials. You want to have other people talk about your product, how it improved their experience and their life. Think of a lot of different touch points, how you can eliminate regret, because it's essential if you want to get a lot of money from selling your product. So you might be asking yourself now, well, what's the solution? If so many choices do not make me happy, if there are so many things that make the choice even more difficult, then what can I do about it? I want you to consider this. If you don't have control, you don't have high expectations. And this is when we enter to talk about control again. How much control do you really need? How much expectations do you need? How high those expectations should be? If you lower your expectations, you will not feel unhappy if you don't meet them. Now, it doesn't mean not having expectations at all. Remember satisficers, what they do? They set standards. It's the same here. Set your standards for your expectations, but don't go beyond it. You don't have to. Because if you keep trying to look for the best and keeping your expectations extremely high for every single thing in your life, you will fail and you will be very unhappy. Now, it's not about absolute control. Again, see how often we've talked about it, that everything is compared to something else, that it's about framing? It's the same with control. It's not just that people want control. I mean, what is control? How much control do we want? It's about perceived control. So again, create your framework, create your world, and then have a control within it. Don't try to have a control over everything because you can't. And there is a very funny cartoon in the book of the two fish in a little aquarium, and one fish tells the other one, you can be anything you want. Clearly, a fish cannot go outside of the water, but it's okay. We have certain limitations for this freedom, but still within these limitations, there is a lot of freedom and a lot of control. Let me share with you some tips taken from the book. So the first one, choose when to choose. As we've already said, you don't always have to go for the best. Know when you should maximize and when you can satisfy. Be a better chooser, not a picker. Again, be smart in how you choose. Don't look at every single little thing, because you will never find something that satisfies you in 100 or 200%. There will always be some little flaws, but it's okay. Just accept it. As we said, satisfies more, maximize less. Yes, we all have areas in our lives when we want to maximize, and that's okay. It pushes us forward. But in the areas when we don't have to, don't do it, because it takes too much energy. Now think about the opportunity cost of opportunity costs. Why? Remember when we think so much about what we lose when we make a particular decision? But do you know how much it costs you to actually think about it? Sometimes it's good to just let go. If you like the option, go for it. Don't think of what you're losing at the same time, because the truth is that you always have to make some sacrifices. It's just the way it is. Then make your decisions non-reversible. Remember that if we cannot return what we bought, we actually fall in love with it. The same here. Now that you're aware of how that works, try to eliminate the possibility of reversing your decision. Practice an attitude for gratitude. This is when you want to try comparing yourself downwards. So look around and try to see people and situations which are actually worse than you. And I'm sure there are a lot of them. There are always those who have more and those who have less. Those who are more successful in a particular field, more successful than you, and those who are less successful. So remember to always find this balance. Don't always look up to people who are so much better. Look also down so that you can appreciate what you already have. Be grateful for what you've achieved. Anticipate adaptation. The truth is that we adapt to a lot of things. Remember the concept of anticipating regret? So sometimes we think that, okay, I will not make this decision because I know I might regret it. But again, see, the way people work is that we adapt to situations. So even if something bad happens, even if this regret kicks in, after a while I will adapt to it and I'll be just as happy. So remember that it will happen. Even if something is not perfect right now, in a few weeks or months, you'll be very happy with the decision. Same way. And finally, control expectations. Have high expectations when you really need them. And in the areas of your life when you don't, try lowering them a little bit. And you will see how often you start meeting them and what kind of impact it will have on your well-being. Now, this is all. This is the essence that I chose for you from the book paradox of choice. As I said, I do strongly suggest that you actually grab the book and read it, but right away, having all of this information from this short video, you can start implementing it in your business. And when you do, I would love for you to share. And of course, as always, if you have any questions or you want to ask me anything, just write it down in the comment section below and I'll try getting back to you as soon as possible. And also do check my blog, psychologyformarketers.com, for other posts which I'm sure you will find beneficial. Thank you. That was Magda K.